Tonight, the cost of keeping Qantas. The Treasurer's warning to taxpayers on paying the price for a national carrier.
If Australians want to place regulatory handcuffs on Qantas, then we need to accept that that will come at a cost to taxpayers.
I'm Tikki Fullerton. You're watching The Business. Furious lobbying by Alan Joyce has sent the foreign ownership debate sky high. On the Qantas carousel, how much to prop up the flying kangaroo? Putting self-interest before national interest, Ross Garnaut's swipe at big business. And getting infrastructure off the drawing board. Transurban and the Business Council live on The Business. Well, first a quick look at the markets, and the local bourse finished the session flat despite gains for the miners and the banks. The All Ords inch up 2 points. In Japan, strong gains for the Nikkei. Hong Kong's Hang Seng erased early gains. Well, Treasurer Joe Hockey has fired the starting gun for a debate on the future of Australia's national carrier. The Federal Treasurer has called for arguments on whether foreigners should be allowed to own or control Qantas. But in a letter to staff, Qantas chief Alan Joyce said there was no time to change legislation to make foreign ownership possible. Here's finance correspondent Philip Lasker.
If government is about leadership, it doesn't extend to the emotional debate over the ownership of Qantas.
This isn't anything new, it's just, I suppose, that it's more public. And I think you need to have transparency in this debate rather than having interests come to Canberra and deliver their own opinion. I think the nation needs to be brought into this debate.
The $350 million capital raising by Virgin Australia, backed by its 4 foreign shareholders, Richard Branson's Virgin Group, Air New Zealand, Etihad and Singapore Airlines, is the game changer for Qantas.
But it feels to me like I'm playing a soccer game. I was 10-0 up in the soccer game. The other team then is called on 3 other teams onto the field, because they can't beat us, to challenge us, and that's unfair. We need to have a level playing field for the Qantas group to have a future and for Australian aviation to have a future.
I think Qantas is facing a tougher domestic competitor now than it has at any time in the last 20 years.
The capital raising will leave Virgin Australia 80% foreign owned. On the other hand, the Qantas Sale Act caps foreign ownership at 49.9%, and each individual foreign owner is restricted to 35%. The Treasurer, who says action needs to be taken within a year, does have a preferred option, but he won't cross public opinion.
If Australians want to place regulatory handcuffs on Qantas, then we need to accept that that will come at a cost to taxpayers. And frankly, it's not something that I'm willingly prepared to do. To go back to your question, I don't like the idea of putting taxpayers' money or taxpayers' support behind Qantas.
In an emotion-charged letter to staff, Chief Executive Alan Joyce said, changing the Qantas Sale Act, which limits foreign ownership, would not be realistically achievable in the current Parliament, and the process would be prolonged, during which time Virgin Australia would be free to continue its anti-competitive strategy aimed at crippling Qantas. We simply do not have the time. But Alan Joyce did not disclose alternative solutions, only saying there are a range of policy measures that the government could consider in order to provide a more level playing field for the aviation sector in Australia. Qantas looks forward to discussions with the government. Virgin Australia hit back in a statement with a reference to Qantas's policy of maintaining its market share at all costs. It said a level playing field should include a full and proper investigation of our major competitors' 65% line in the sand policy. The Qantas chief's doubts about support for legislative changes were well founded.
I believe a national carrier is an important part of Australia's national security. It's an important part of Australia's independence and being an independent nation in the world. Labor does not, I believe, support changing, allowing majority foreign ownership.
Alan Joyce has the government's ear, but his solution will need to pass the public opinion test.